Hey everybody, Dr. Phil here. It's going to be a video on service as the core offering in the wider context of marketing management. So let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so a service is a product in the sense that it represents a bundle of benefits that can satisfy customer wants and needs, yet it does so without physical form. Now we live now in a service economy. All domestic job growth is expected to be in the service sector. In fact, services produce 75% of staggering 75% of GDP and are still growing. So we sort of transitioned from an agrarian economy to a manufacturing economy. Now we're more of a service economy. And you've seen that in a lot of the developed countries. So with respect to service as a differentiator, focusing on service and on enabling employees to effectively deliver service can be one differentiator that is hard for the competition to replicate. Great service provides a sustainable competitive advantage, and of course, some companies are better at that than others. Today's global economies are driven by a service dominant logic, where the three sort of tenets that we see here apply. Number one, service is the fundamental basis of exchange. Number two, value is co-created by multiple parties, including the company and the customer. And then three, value is, excuse me, is defined by the customer. Now, a service cannot be experienced through the physical senses, obviously because it's intangible. It cannot be seen, heard, tasted, felt, or smelled by a customer. Goods can easily be experienced through the senses. Strong branding can make a service seem or maybe feel like it's more tangible because customers draw conclusions about the tangible aspects they can experience. And what about inseparability? A customer can't really experience a service until it's actually consumed. A service is produced and consumed at the same time and cannot be separated from its provider. It also allows for customization of service. Now, with regard to variability, because it cannot be separated from the provider, a service's quality can only be as good as the person providing the service. Employees can be a source of differentiation. Removing variability and provide a dependable level of service. It also requires investment in training and good management in a culture that values employees. So maybe a little more expansion on there is if you take care of the employees, you have a good company, good healthy company culture, then that's likely to sort of project outwards. Customers will see that, they'll feel it, they'll appreciate it, and it probably will help improve your bottom line as a result. And with regard to perishability, a service cannot be stored or saved up for future use. Okay, so it's just sort of used, if you will, for the time that you get it. Perishability is a major potential problem for service providers. Fluctuating demand is related to, of course, is related to perishability of services. Now, the strong evidence that attention to internal service quality and to employee satisfaction, productivity, and retention result in stronger value to external customers of a service, which makes perfect sense. Customers set their expectations based largely on the evidence provided by the marketer before the purchase. Customer expectations management. Do not set customer expectations so high that they cannot be effectively met on a consistent basis. So by all means, set it high. You want to, delight your customers, but don't set it to the point where it's just not going to be achieved because then customers are going to believe, they're going to walk away not feeling good about you or your products. And maybe also there's a knock-on effect for employees. They may be disheartened or disgruntled, disaffected because they're like, we can't meet these standards. And then finally, service quality. So service quality represents a formalization of the measurement of customer expectations of a service compared to their perceptions of actual service performance. So the service encounter. This is the period of interaction during which a customer interacts in any way with a service provider. Customer delight. Exceeding customer expectations often leads to customer loyalty. And of course, the opposite is also true. And then the moment of truth, the face-to-face time between customer and provider when most customer judgments will take place. And that's probably the most important part. So, if you think about going into a Starbucks, for example, right? They've worked hard to try to make sure you have a good experience. When you come in, the stalls are clean. Obviously, it smells like coffee, which most people like. Great choice of menu. Obviously, it's not cheap, but Starbucks aren't hurting for revenue, so people are okay with paying more, again, so long as they have a good experience. And you can imagine that, Starbucks margins are pretty wide. They're certainly making a lot of money, and they're doing it successfully, right? They're doing it all around the world. People are willing to pay um, the extra money to get the good service. The baristas are usually friendly. They're knowledgeable. If you ask a question, they can usually answer it pretty well. So, service quality is important, and companies know that it's cheaper to keep the existing customers and to try to get new ones. So, it's worth investing money in good training, keeping your employees happy. Because happy employees will sort of, like I said before, will kind of project that outwards, if you will. All right, that's all I got for you for this one. I'll see you all in a future video. Take care.